We're here with John Noble today. John, welcome home.
Thank you.
And congratulations on an amazing season finale. What's the reaction been like from fans and from colleagues and friends?
Well, I didn't actually get to see it myself until last week because I was travelling when it was on, and my reaction was quite stunned really by I mean, I was there and I was doing it, but when I saw it assembled and what was left in and what was taken out, and then the ending that was kind of put in late with the observers. My goodness me, it's extraordinary. And I was talking to the showrunners in last week in Los Angeles, trying to get some hint of where we're going with it, which they haven't decided yet, but they were some amazing ideas. And I said to them, you've really put a cat among the pigeons, because everyone's saying, what's have happening? You done?
Yeah,
you can't
what's going on?
What do you mean Peter doesn't exist? So what's the function of the whole thing if Peter doesn't exist? So it's really stirred them up.
Yeah, I mean, we were throwing things at the TV. Oh my God, we have to wait all this time to find out what happened. But talking about season 3, the show was really picked up a notch, I think, and they threw everything at you. You played Walter from the past, Walter from the future, Walternate, animated Walter. That must have been a thrill and a joy for you to play all those facets of the character.
I had 7.
7,
yeah. It was someone added them up the other day. It wasn't
That's
me.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a joy to do, because it just, as an actor, it gives you a different challenge all the time, and particularly Anna and I think, thrived under those circumstances. I know that she had the time of her life doing the 3 characters she did, which she was brilliant, and particularly getting that Walter Bell character. It was just stunning, and I was so proud of her being a fellow.
Being a fellow Aussie. Look, she mentioned to us last week that you in particular had a ball with it, though. She said, oh yeah, John had a real ball with all the characters. And I mean, you're already accustomed to snapping back and forth between hilarious comedy and heartbreaking dramatic work. And so have you been really impressed with the way the writers can keep throwing new facets of this character at you? I mean, is there anything else left that you might be able to do?
I don't know. I asked the question the other day, jokingly. I said, well, where else do we go? We've done so many things, but they are really, truly creative people, and that they have... All you've got to do is take one factor out of a person's life, and their choices in life will change, which is the whole premise of Fringe. So if you took a major factor out of the life of, say, Walter, then he would develop in different ways, and that's always... Well, that's how Walter and Walternate came to be.
Exactly.
And they have so many thoughts. And they haven't divulged yet, and I'm not saying that critically. I know that they were just stunned with excitement at the possibilities available to them, and that's not overstating the point.
I mean, that's the luxury of being on a science fiction fantasy show, where it does, just because your character dies doesn't mean you're out of the show, and obviously you can play all different facets, and so that's amazing. And I guess the fan reaction must be pretty impressive. You're used to that. You're on Lord of the Rings, so you understand what it's like to have fans all over you and want to talk to you about the characters. But I mean, is this... will you ever be accustomed to that kind of love and affection from just strangers in the street?
Anna Torv says it very well when she says that the star of our show is Fringe, and I thought that was a very astute way to put it. And in a sense, speaking of Lord of the Rings, the star of that was the incredible story. Yeah. So, in a sense, it's I don't feel personally confronted by it at all. I mean, it's such a compliment to be involved with great projects, and then it'll pass, and then
and then something else will come along.
Well, maybe you retire, do whatever you do. But it's at this stage it's a joy, and people are so kind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in Australia, you've been on stage and screen for a long time.
Yeah.
People are pretty much aware of who you are here. In America, maybe you're a bit more of an overnight sensation. And what's it feel like to be an overnight sensation at this stage of your career?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, absolutely right. It was 10 years ago they learned about me. That was late in my career. I kind of feel it was lucky I didn't have to go through all of that ageing process that that the 25-year-old males go through, and then I was old by the time I arrived. So nothing to lose. No, I could do flashback scenes then with a bit of face stretch. I was the lucky one, man.
Yeah, I always wondered about the face stretch and the wigs, and then in the finale you had to wear all this other stuff where you looked like a homeless person. It was fantastic. Right. The makeup must be brilliant, but Yeah, look, I was also wondering. Look, I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. 1 second, I'll just get this. I know people talk about this ad nauseum, John, but I don't know if that can be read.
No, but I can read.
But I think you really should.
Oh my goodness!
Now, we're an awards website, right?
Right.
So you understand that this is what we care about, and there are a lot of people who don't know you, who don't know you from a bar of soap, who really want you to win an Emmy. Because your performances on Fringe, especially in season 3, although I believe in season 2 and 1 as well, have been astonishing. And there are a lot of people out there who are following this petition, and they're joining the Facebook campaign.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Isn't that
everyone.
lovely?
It's
pretty humbling.
It's hugely humbling. I don't know what to say. It'd be a lie to say I didn't know about that, because that was raised. We did Anne and I did 2 panels in America last week, and people were doing and talking about these petitions, and it was. I don't know. I could take it personally and do, but it's also such a tribute to the character that these people have created for me to play with.
Yeah.
A genuinely fascinating new science fiction character.
Oh, absolutely. Look, there is some precedent. A couple of years ago, there was a Facebook campaign for Betty White to host SNL.
Oh, right.
Then she hosted it. She won an Emmy for it. So Facebook campaigns aren't maybe as frivolous as people think. And if a lot of people are amassing on a social networking site to say John Noble must be considered for an Emmy, then we're all hoping, that the Emmy voters might actually take notice. But that brings me to my next question. In the last 2 years, a lot of people did tout your name as a contender, and when it didn't come through, there was a lot of grumbling and criticism. And what was the feeling like on the set when you all went back to work and thought, well, we're just not being noticed, what's the problem?
It was never talked about on the set. We filmed, these days we film in Vancouver, and
Right.
it's really, it's like being in some sort of a vacuum from the rest of the world, in that we do, as you know, work very long hours, and we're very unaware of what reaction there is, except what we may see on the blogs, or you know, if someone sends us some reviews. So really, that doesn't come into it. Awards, I guess it may be there, it's known in the background, but it's not discussed openly. And I think this is a good thing too, because they can be quite divisive.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm sure they are.
I'm sure if someone won something, then there would be general, you know, there'd be something said and they'd be happy.
Yeah.
But we don't delve into them too much.
Well, I guess you guys have got other priorities. You're trying to make the best show you can. Yeah. You're trying to help please the fans.
You know, the interesting thing is this, because I think that Fringe is such an extraordinary show. I really do. That I guess I've been disappointed that it's not been the writing, the structure, the actual literature, as a piece of literature, that it's not been recognised.
Yeah.
I think I have been disappointed in that, and the production standards, which we produce basically a film every 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
And I guess you think, well, it would be nice to see that recognised by the profession, even if they don't recognise the actors involved. We'll see maybe this year.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, there is precedent for that as well. The X-Files and Lost and other sci-fi shows like that have done quite well. So whatever sci-fi bias people might think there is out there,
it took them a while, though, all of them.
It always takes a bit of a while for these shows to make an impact, and so the hope is that Fringe will finally impact, especially given their brilliant season. And so that brings me to my next point. If by chance you were nominated for an Emmy, the way it works is you have to pick your favourite episode. And I'm sure you've been asked about this before. If I can put one out there straight away, I would say The Firefly for you. Brilliant episode where you get to interplay with Christopher Lloyd.
What a joy.
What was it like working with him?
Christopher, he came on set so ready to work, so prepared, such a joy. As soon as we locked eyes on each other, it was on, and didn't go off again. And we became genuinely extremely fond of each other because of that high level of commitment. And he worked so hard. I thought he was as good as he's ever done. I thought he was brilliant, Chris Lloyd. So, I Firefly is one I liked a lot. There's a lot of I liked a story called Bloodline, which is
a great episode,
and it was a good episode for me, for both characters, and wonderful for Anna as well.
Absolutely,
brilliant episode for her. But not necessarily about me. There are other episodes. Marionette, I still think was one of our best episodes ever. I still think about the final scene. I mean, I really think about it.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's amazing performances.
Yeah, amazing.
Others like Entrada and Olivia from the first episode, and obviously the finale. And having 2 Aussies on the set must also be a nice thing over in Canada.
It never comes up.
Really?
No.
It's surprising.
never comes up, and there's sort of people from America and Canada, but within that sort of cocoon of the set, there's no mention. Yeah. There is really no mention of where people come from, and so I don't know what we sound like. I don't think I changed my accent. Anna says she does change hers, but I'm not really sure.
You know, you're only thinking about. You're just in the moment.
No.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I mean, Anna also likened you to a bit of a mentor on set. You've taught drama for many years.
Sure.
Back here in Australia. And do you ever get that sense when you're working and when you're acting, you're in the moment? I get the sense that people are in awe of sometimes of what you're doing and trying to learn from the way that you characterise and so forth. Do you ever get that sense from people when you're on set?
I don't get the sense of it, but I would hope that everybody, I mean, if they're anything like me, they'll be watching good performance work, and this is the way that I've always thought. I watch a great performance, and it gives me permission to be better.
Yeah.
And so if I may, and an example I give often is when I first watched Gene Hackman work, and it gave me permission to be that good, if you want, if you know what I mean. He said, you can do this, you can just go for everything you want to go for, or Dustin Hoffman or someone. It gives you permission, gives you courage.
Yeah.
So then if that happens with people, then I'm really thrilled about it, because I still watch other people work and go, oh, wow.
And so, what has been your favourite off-camera moment? Does anything come to mind straight away? Like something? I mean, is there a lot of laughs on set? Is it a serious set, generally?
It's a professional set, and as such, what you can't do is let things go too far into levity. Yeah. Because it pulls the energy out of things. So we try to get the balance. But the ideal situation is that, you know, when the cameras are rolling just before, there should be, in my opinion, absolute silence on the set. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. And any levity will then pull the focus off. And it's intense, you know, it's intense work. So, but we enjoy each other so much. So between takes, and we are friends, and we go and chat to the camera people and to the and so forth. There's no animosity at all that I know of on the set. It's a beautiful family of people. That's
got to be a luxury.
It is.
And which brings me to, I think, me personally and many other fans of the show, the highlight for the show is your interaction with Josh Jackson as Walter's son. And obviously you've mentioned that you have quite a bond now. But what was it like in the beginning? Because I hear that Josh wasn't... He wasn't one of the favourites for the role when the show was being created and sold to the network, and he is unfortunately a bit underrated sometimes. Okay. But what's it been like working with him?
Well,
wonderful actor.
The thing about the Josh Jackson, I mean, he got to set last. They were still negotiating. We'd already started filming, and he walked into a place where one of the producers was taking us out to dinner, and I hadn't met him. But someone said, oh, Josh has arrived, and I don't know why it is. I just got up and ran and said, my son, come here. I gave him the biggest hug like that. And he went, oh, my God.
And he was like, oh, God, who's this guy?
It's another bloody Australian. Anyway, look, we talked about the relationship. JJ said, I want a really deep, special father-son relationship. He asked for that, and then we took that on board very seriously, and that's what we worked toward. And we have gone into great depth about what's truthful, what's not truthful. And I think that's one of the reasons we're so close.
You can totally see it come to the screen immediately. Yeah. Well, John, there are so many people who have got their fingers and toes crossed for you for the upcoming Emmys, and we really do wish you all the best, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks so much, mate. It's a pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Thanks.